very young age. I don't know. I say when I was, I guess, one of the first things I saw, my uncle let me see a Malcolm X speech at like 3. So I say that's where my journey kind of begun. Yeah.
It's very interesting, especially when you deal with the cultures here in the United States, especially when you deal with like the Black community, the Asian community, the Hispanic community. Like for example, even for myself, like I'm half African. My father was from Morocco, and my mom is 3 generations raised in Brooklyn, New York. It's crazy to see that, like, not only has there been oppression, but there has been so many different programs and organizations and people within the communities that have all been trying and working their fucking asses off
Hmm.
to do what they can to help a brother out, a sister out, you know, whatever they can do. And like I've spoken to people about, these different things and these different programs that they have available. And it's all because of technology. Isn't that incredible? It's just like the fact that we've had internet, the fact that we have literally a
Yeah. Cell phone.
computer. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Matter of seconds.
Hell yeah. But okay, you say you're half African. What other half are you though? You're African and what?
I'm African and my mom is Hungarian and Polish descent.
Okay. So are you from Africa? Are you born in the States? Are you born in
Me and my siblings were first generation. We were born in the United States.
what part of the States?
I was raised in upstate New York. It's
Okay.
called Rockland County.
Okay. All right. That's
Hmm.
what's up. Um, you say you have is like programs and stuff to like help people. What do you feel is our biggest plight as Black Americans in the Black community?
I Thing is, I'm not a part of that community. I can't speak on anybody's behalf, but what I can say is, and one thing that I have seen, especially I've had people on this podcast. I
And what they
had
say?
I had one that he worked with a youth group that were helping out teens through different like avenues, such as like gym activities, um, job opportunities, different skills, and things that they can build for themselves. And he was like primarily talking about like that anxiety and that depression, feeling that you have no shoulder to cry on, you have no person to look out for you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it kind of what did he think? Or that's why I asked you because I mean, there's other races that already assume what's our
Hmm.
biggest plight as Black, Americans in the Black community and stuff like that. So that's why I was asking, what did you think? Well, what do you like? I'm kind of asking, how can you help out our problem as Black Americans and in the Black community? What do you think you can do?
Have an open approach, listen as much as I can, be there as a person that can stand there and not judge, but at the same time, not preach. It's that simple. Open approach.
Okay.
That's what you're asking me.
Oh, I was just asking more of like, what do you think our plight is and what do you think we need help with um most as Black Americans in the Black community? Personally I think economically. That's what we need the most help in. And I'm a advocate for us starting out to get cash reparations. That's one of our biggest plights as Black Americans in the Black community and an anti-hate crime bill because we are targeted the number one group in the United States of America, and we don't have a anti-hate Black crime bill. We got an anti-hate Asian crime bill, but we don't got one. And you could look up the statistics. We are number one by over like 1,000 people of targeted because of our race. And I think that's more because a lot of times they be talking about we get targeted and they be like, oh, that had nothing to do with race right there. That was something else. And it's like, okay. So that's what I feel as a black American that lives in the United States. I don't live in a black community right now. I live in a multicultural community, but I'm from Oakland, California, and I lived in a black community until I was the age of 17 and until I went to college in San Diego. That's where I'm in right now. I live in San Diego. So, but I'm still in tune what we need collectively as black people, not individually, where a couple black people doing good, a couple of black people over here doing good. No, collectively, us doing as a group, these are the two main things that are like prevalent that we want as a people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
No,
that's why I asked you that question before I even said anything. Because sometimes I could like say something to deter your answer or what you're thinking. So that's why I
listen,
asked. I'm
man,
like,
this is the most open. I try to keep things as open as possible. And what I mean by that is that I want to hear what you have to say,
yeah,
because what you have to say is important. Because again, if we're going to have a conversation between the two of us, there has to be a level of respect. I
yeah,
have to sit here and listen to you and genuinely hear what you're telling me, because I haven't gone through the same experiences that you have in your life, and
yeah,
vice versa. You know what I mean? So that's what, like, especially this, like, straight out of you. No, no, you can't say this, you fucking liberal. No, no, you fucking conservative. That I'm like, bro, relax. It's okay.
yeah.
Like, we gotta look at the real problem over here, right?
hmm
That's what I'm hearing.
So what's your political affiliation?
I'm a libertarian. I'm not politically a libertarian. I'm a thinker as a libertarian.
Okay,
I don't
all
hold
right,
any political party.
okay, hell yeah, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, how? Okay, let me ask you this: how did it feel? First of all, what community did you grow up in? Like, was it diverse? It was a predominantly one race compared to
Predominantly
another.
one race. I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish community,
Okay.
which is known as Muncie, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like I've mentioned to you, I come from African descent.
Yeah.
I'm primarily Mediterranean descent because my family was originally my father's side, going back about 2,000 years from the time of Kingdom of Judea, all the way to Spain, which
Okay.
at today's modern day Portugal, and then all the way to Morocco. And that
Okay.
was my father's generation.
Yeah.
And it's really it's always something that was hard for me as a kid, because I grew up in a like mixed race household, but I never saw it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But
But
everybody else saw it, but I didn't see it.
okay. But the community around you, what race were they?
Predominantly white and what's
Okay.
called Ashkenazi.
Okay. Ashkenazi Jew. Okay.
Correct. And I'm a Sephardic Jew.
Okay. Well, okay. How do you? I don't know if you hear this term, but I be hearing this term, and I be in spaces. Such as Tariq Nasheed. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed, and there's a lot of white people that go on that space, and they be like, "Well, what about Jewish supremacy?" Have you heard of that before? And how does that make you feel as like a Jewish person?
A lot of it stems from fear. Predominantly, a lot of these communities were built by Holocaust survivors and people that came from Europe. I live out here in South Florida, and there are predominantly larger Sephardic communities that are out here.
Okay.
And the feeling that you get when you're there is way more open and public. You know something? This is the thing about fear and oppression. It's the number one tools of not only controlling people, but it's had abilities to not only control, but to make that the general norm. That's what happens. End of story. But is that really end of story? I don't think so.
But have you ever heard that term before? Or is this the first time you hearing it?
My apologies. Which term?
Jewish supremacy.
I've never heard it in that term. I would probably put it more like the way that I grew up with it is predominantly like ultra orthodoxy.
Okay.
Reliancy. Very much cult-like.
Okay.
But not necessarily supremacy. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. So, as a Jewish person, because I think you could probably explain it better than anybody else, do you feel that Jewish is a race or more of a religion? Because some people kind of get it confused, and you could probably clear it up for people.
It can be both, but predominantly it's a race. The reason why it's a race is because we all, our gene, our lineage stems from Yaakov, Jacob, and from his 12 children. So that's where we have our claims of being a race. And predominantly other cultures have very similar things. You know, for example, if you look in, let's take Africa, for example. You look at Ethiopian culture.
Mm-hmm.
You will find very similar things to that. Another example that I can give would be like, for example, in Kenya.
Yeah.
And how you can see different tribes that keep very old customs. Like very, very, like very unique and very specific customs that have just stuck around for, they don't even know, which is bananas.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Okay, since we on the East African tip, you know, Ethiopia and Somalia and stuff like that, and you say you're part of what part of Africa again? Moroccan, right?
Morocco is North Africa. It's all the way to the west. It borders. You could literally. It takes like 50 minutes to get from Spain to Morocco.
Okay, so let me ask you this: do you feel that you're part black?
No, I don't.
Why is that?
Because I don't think not everybody in Africa is predominantly black. They do have, for example, darker skin tones. But the thing about predominantly, again, this is just from like what I've been told and what I heard. Again, if I'm saying anything incorrect, you tell me, please.
Okay.
From what I've been told, primarily when you deal with the black community, it stems from the Caribbeans, and then you have Africa. And when you deal with those two sides, you're dealing with two very ancient cultures. One that's been pretty much assimilated and replaced by another because of slaves.
Colonized.
Correct.
Yeah. And then you're continuing on.
So one great example of this, think of like, Incas and Aztecs. If you think about, I have actually a great example for you. I have a very good friend of mine. She is Ecuadorian, but she comes from one of the ancient tribes that are from there. So she looks like native. She has that native look, and her parents are the exact same way.
Okay.
And you can see assimilation, especially when you're dealing with Mexican culture, because you get Mexicans that are, for example, ginger, very light skin. Sometimes, for example, you take people from Cuba, right? Mm-hmm. They have light skin, but they have very much African features to an
Yeah.
extent. Which is like, huh? That's weird, but
Yeah.
that happens there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. I was asking that because there's been on like Twitter and things of that nature, and then I don't know if you heard about the Brickgate lady. You feel me?
I haven't.
And a Somalian chick tried to do some scamming. She said she got hit by a brick by black men in Texas.
All about the artist. That is the whole purpose of this podcast, period. And you have a really valuable tool. You can share this with artists, people that are creative, someone that can enjoy this podcast and really enjoy the experience of Lost in the Groove. So, with that, let's jump back to today's episode, shall we?
Somewhere she was lying, bullshit, did a GoFundMe scam, and she did that a couple years ago. So yeah, fuck her. She did a lot of did some gender divide and stuff like that. So the whole thing, black men don't protect black women bullshit. So but what I'm saying is there's been a lot of Somalian people saying that they're not black at all. They just Somalian. So
yeah.
But see then this where my problem is. When they come to the States, I don't know if you know this woman named Iman Umar or something like that. She is a Democratic, is it senator or congresswoman in Minnesota. And she said she is for her Somalian people. But what they try to do to get into office is they try to pander to black people to get the black vote. They're like, yeah, we black, we black, we black, until they get what they want. Then they be like, nah, I'm this. So that's why I'm kind of asking, because you're African, you're part African, you're from, you know what I mean? So I'm asking, and so it's interesting that I get this question.
The thing though, it doesn't take anything away from the black community, because there is culture that exists, like I said, like for example, within Africa. But you know, to take people that are Ethiopian or people that are Egyptian, for that example, and put them a part of the black community, they're not a part of the black community. Egyptians are Egyptian. Ethiopians are Ethiopians.
And I like that you said that. I wish they would scream that to the roof fucking tops before they get into Congress. Because they come to us and be like, we need your vote. We all black. We in this together. And then when either, it's two things that irritates me. When they get in position of power, or when they do something extraordinary, like become doctors, lawyers, right? But when something negative happen, like criminality, then it's, oh, we fucking black. That's the problem. It's like, no. And I like what you're saying. It's like, nah, we're not black. We're this. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. I actually agree with that. But don't come over here asking for our help and pandering and pretending to be black until you get to where you want. And then you be like, well, I ain't helping you motherfuckers. You see the problem? That'd be my problem. And it happens a shit ton, especially in Congress. It does. You know?
People, I'm going to tell you this, and you may not know this. The black and Jewish community, especially in New York, have a very rich culture, because just like the black community was oppressed, so was the Jewish community throughout the early 1900s, throughout the 1920s. And what a lot of the Jewish community started doing is working on hospitals such as Maimonides and Mount Sinai, allowing doctors and nurses being able to work, especially around the Jewish holidays and the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And when Jim Crow and the civil rights movement started happening, one of the first people to help out the black community that needed jobs, that needed food, that needed help with their children was the Jewish community. They reached out and helped out the black community throughout the 1950s and 1960s. How do I know this? Because I had family members that were a part of it.
Okay.
There was this movement that, like, we don't need the government to tell us what to do. We're here to tell you how we feel. That's what we're marching here to tell you. You know, like, that was the thing about Malcolm X. Was he was telling you, this is how we feel. That's what we're saying. We're not telling you to jump on the bandwagon and saying, yeah, I'm with you. No, no, no. That's not what we're doing here. We want you to know the truth. Plain and simple. Because you gotta
Hell yeah.
know.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well, what did your parents do to help? You say it gave jobs to black people?
No, so I'm on my mother's side. My mother grew up in Williamsburg, which is like a borough within Brooklyn.
Okay.
And there used to be over there was where they had a lot of manufacturing. So, like for example, beers and like grape juice and certain types of items that they had available.
Yeah.
And what a lot of the Jewish community was doing is they were giving out jobs to people in the black community. So, like delivery drivers, people working in Jewish factories, so people to like manufacturing and things of that nature. Because people forget there was a time that if you were a certain race, you got a hard time getting a job. They didn't really give a flying fuck if you were starving. You know, like 1950s, you couldn't get a Discover card and go bananas at IKEA. None of that existed. None of that. So, yeah.
Damn.
You didn't know about that?
Nah, I had no idea, bro.
But it's not just the Jewish and black community, my man. Like there are other communities that have had to bond together. And in other places, like for example, Chicago and, you know, out in LA and other places, we are all in a way minorities, especially in this country. But there has to be this recognition that oppression has existed. Forced ideology and agenda has been stuffed down people's throats for way too many years. And it's time for there to be some type of clarity, right?
Yeah, I know what the clarity is.
What do you think the clarity is?
Cash reparations to start out with. Let's right that wrong. You feel what I'm saying? The government, come on, cut that check. That'll right the wrong and will better the American economy at the same time. That's just how I feel. Anti-black hate crime bill. Come on. Let's make the world a better society.
I know.
That's how I look at it. You know? I do have a question for you though. How do you feel about Michael Rappaport? You know who he is?
Let me see.
He is a comedian, but he seemed very influenced by the black community and black people, and now
I know who he is. I've seen him play in. Oh my god, he's been in a few things. He's an actor.
He's an actor, comedian, but he's been very anti-black lately.
In what way?
Well, one, he's talking shit about the black community and black people, and saying that why we ain't taking a stance and being for Israel, between Israel and Palestine. For the most part, I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to most black people and the black community, we don't take a stance right now.
No, it's not really anything to do. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's bananas. I know.
So the thing is, Michael Rappaport is Jewish, and it stemmed from the whole Kanye thing. You know, they got the little arguing. Michael Rappaport got mad at Kanye for being
I know what you're talking about.
And then that, whatever. But for Michael Rappaport to start shitting on the black community and saying y'all not standing for all the things we done did for y'all and blah blah blah, and it's like, bro, come on now. Now you're being anti-black. Like,
and this is a problem that does exist between the Jewish and black community today, especially in New York. There is this level of like, you know, we did for you, so now you owe us. And look, it's not easy, especially being alive now with all of the things that exist. But when you understand that segregation has still existed since the 1960s, we just call them the hood, right? Or the ghetto, or the dark neighborhood. That's still segregation because you're segregating people that don't have money from people that do have money. That's called segregation. I
Yeah.
hate to tell you that. It's the same thing. So you then put people in these difficult circumstances that they don't get the greatest education. They don't really get anything to look forward to in their life. They don't realize that, like, selling drugs, being a part of a gang, getting fucking stabbed and not doing anything about it or not saying anything to your family, or God forbid being in the car at the wrong time. Like,
Where do you think that predominantly happens, though?
where I grew up, predominantly in the Black and Hispanic communities, due to
Would
the
it be
gangs primarily.
would it be would it be wild and blow your mind that that actually happens predominantly in white, lower class, poor neighborhoods?
Mm-hmm. No, I would believe it. Oh yeah, we had that too.
Yeah. It's like I just feel that they perpetuate a certain propaganda that this only happens in black neighborhoods and Hispanic neighborhoods.
No.
But for the most part, I'm like, dog, there's 216 fucking million white people, right? You telling me it ain't more white neighborhoods that are poor and doing all this crime and drugs and all that shit? That'd be hard to believe with that type of population in the United States and what we're going through right now economically. I'm just
It honestly, the thing about I kind of call it the culture war. There isn't anything that can stop a person today from speaking their mind, telling the truth, and doing what they want to do, and doing what they can as much as they possibly can. But you have to, like, realistically, like, think to yourself that you're right. There are these agendas that exist. There is this propaganda that's still being pumped out. It's where you change a name, you change a scenario, you move things around, you push things away, you blemish the name, you kind of wash away the frame, make it a little more shiny.
mm-hmm.
What do you got?
You got something that's fucking fancy, look good.
There you go. Just painted the lips of a pig.
Mm-hmm. Ugly ass pig. You want
Mm-hmm.
you want to know what's wild? Since we on this subject about crime and criminality and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, I looked up some stats. Um, how many people do you think is incarcerated in the United States of America?
We have the largest incarceration rate as far as I remembered.
Yeah, we're top dog. Bam, number one.
It's over a million.
Incarceration and guns. Most definitely over a million.
It's definitely over a million. I would probably say 32 million.
It's 1.8 million.
1.8 million Americans are incarcerated right now.
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah. Since 2023. So that was the number.
1.8 million.
Yeah. So we're top
Jesus.
dog, but it's 1.8 million people are incarcerated.
Compared to 358 million Americans.
Yeah. So in retrospect, incarceration is pretty low, right? But they put criminality on black people. There's 66,000 black people incarcerated. So we make up 40% of the jails, while I think I read like 52, 53% of white people, but I think they mix them in with Hispanic people too, make up, the jails, incarceration, and then the other groups make up the rest. It was such tiny numbers. It was kind of like, but
1.2 or 0.2 or 0.005.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that
So
one weird Armenian man that comes on the
yeah,
plane. Hello.
exactly. But what I'm saying is that there's I wish they would have broke it up from Hispanics to white because that probably would have lowered the number. But we're disproportionately targeted as getting incarcerated and stuff. But if you think of the bigger picture, there's 48 million black people in the United States. If 60,000 of them is incarcerated, that's a low fucking number of criminality in my eyes. Why are we painted the fucking poster child of criminals in the United States when in actuality there's actually more white people that's incarcerated, and actually there's a lot of white people that don't get convicted of the crime that they're charged with, so they won't get incarcerated.
Yeah,
So
people forget about the war on drugs, which unfortunately we're still dealing with, which is completely bananas.
yeah,
I mean, there are people that are sitting in prison right now for marijuana charges
yep, they need
in
to
the
get
United
out.
States.
They need
I
to
mean,
get
it's a
out.
small number. Okay, we're not going to lie. It's not a large number by any means. But marijuana, are you kidding me? It's fucking 2024. It's like, grow up. Seriously. That's how I feel. It's like, do you know why? Okay, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. Do you know why the drug war? Somebody told me this, and I was flabbergasted. The drug war existed because, and it was revealed by one of Nixon's handymen. He said that Nixon wanted to win the election. So Nixon figured out in order to win, he had to create the war on drugs and blame it on the blacks and the Hispanics.
Yeah.
And therefore, he'd be able to get more voters, involved. Yeah, drugs are bad, and be able to win the election.
So he killed two birds with one stone, basically.
For a stupid, crummy election, he basically destroyed laboratories and research, investments, departments, and possibly like a whole industry for a stupid presidential election back in the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
Stupid. It is. It's so fucking stupid.
But think about it like this, bro. White supremacy is stupid in nature.
Oh, yeah, it's so fucking stupid. Are you kidding me?
It makes no sense. It's like
makes no sense.
You cut your nose to spite your face. And if you think of a lot of times when people uphold white supremacy, you'd be like, that was such a dumb move. It actually didn't make any sense. So I'm not surprised Richard Nixon did it, but it was very dumb because it fucked up the economy even more within that time.
You know how many people could have benefited from psilocybin or MDMA research and therapy back in the 80s? I mean, like, the use of cannabis could have helped with people that had Parkinson's.
But you know why they criminalized at least cannabis in my eyes? Because
of the black community, honey. You know why?
Yeah, the black community basically build businesses out of that. And the thing was, most of these white folks that uphold anti-blackness and white supremacy was like, oh, we gotta throw them motherfuckers in jail. But then at the same time, rubbing their hand was like, but they making a lot of fucking money. We gotta figure out a way to get in. And that's what happened. They waited till they figured out how they could get a way in to the business, which they've done. And now everything is becoming legal. They damn near about to have weed like fucking beer. And
No.
it's crazy because my black brothers and sisters are in jail, and they probably is like, you motherfuckers, y'all, I got fucking 10 years for a goddamn zip. And now a motherfucker can just buy that anywhere and just be like, doo-doo-doo.
There you
Like,
go.
it's the wildest thing. I'm glad we talking about this because I'm trying to debunk the whole thing that black people and stuff like that, we're the poster child of criminality. Nah, it's, America, we just some criminals out here. Americans are just any race. You feel me? Is just riddled. We're criminals in America. Hell, the migrants come over here and become even just more criminals. They be like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, you live in New York. You know what's happening. You know, shit is wild.
I, even though I did grow up in somewhat of a cult community, I grew up in a blue collar community, a blue collar community of immigrants. It was very segregated. You know, you had the white, you had the Hispanic, you had the black community. Everybody was very segregated. Everybody stayed in their community, they stayed in their jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
But there was that mentality of, you know, we got here, we have to do something. And it was generally a physical type of trade. Now it's controlled by vicious lunatics that want to glorify and justify every single group, sect, and individual that exist wherever they can, suck them dry, and then hope they don't cry and complain about it on social media.
Exactly.
Welcome
Man.
to New York. New York. Yes.
Since you live out in New York and stuff, has like the population went down? Because I heard a lot of people has left out of New York because of not only the pandemic but just other things that's going on out there.
Oh,
so
yeah, I'm one of those that left. We got the hell out of there.
Oh, you left. Okay, so you don't live in New York no more.
No, I live down here in sunny South Florida. Safe, very safe Florida. I'm telling you. I'm one of those people that believe there's two places in this country right now you want to live. It's Florida and Texas. That's it. Everywhere else is dangerous.
That's all I've been hearing. I mean, San Diego's pretty nice, you know.
I am one of those people. I had just got a phone call from the apartment complex that I lived in before the pandemic in California, and they were calling for money. So I'm not going to California. I'm going to stay in Florida.
Yeah. Where were you like in LA or something?
I lived in LA. I lived in LA for almost a year, and I said, Jesus fucking Christ, I can't do this. I got to get the hell out of it. No, all seriousness, make a long story short, COVID hit. Dad got real sick. I had to jump on a plane. Dad didn't make it. Stayed in New York. Took care of my mom, and then moved down to Florida.
Okay. What makes Florida good? Because me being an outsider looking in, I always hear about Florida man and Florida people, and they always seem to be in the news for the wackiest stuff. And then the politics, you already know, it's kind of. So, what's the good thing in Florida?
I can only speak for South Florida.
South Florida, okay.
Specifically on the East Coast, not the West Coast. On the east side, you got, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, West Palm, Hollywood, which is known for the Guitar Hotel.
Okay.
It's different out here because honestly, nobody gives a fuck if you're black, Hispanic, gay, straight. Like, I can hold my boyfriend's hand in like a fucking Publix or whatever, and like, I don't give a shit. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
That type of mentality alone feels very safe. Again, you should own a gun down here 100%. Should have at least two. One that you have in your car at all times, of course, with a set of bullets, which you have in your trunk, and then one on your nightstand always.
Yeah, it's open carry out there, right? Hell yeah.
Yeah, and out there is a great law. God bless Florida. You get on my fucking property and I tell you to get the fuck off, I will shoot you. You die, not my problem.
It's the stand your ground law. I see the good and bad in that.
Hey, it's Dave, and I quickly just wanted to jump in and say if you've been enjoying the podcast, enjoying this episode, If you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'll be so greatly appreciated. Because here's the thing. Someone might read that review and make the choice if they want to listen to the podcast. You get to help grow this podcast with us. How fucking cool is that? Let's jump back to today's episode.
Has its pros and cons.
100%. But again, this whole idea of freedom, rights, and liberty, it's all a way of controlling your agenda. The thing is, if you want to live a good life, you want to like this. Again, this is another philosophy that drives me bananas. This whole thing now where we have to work 40 hours a week. What, you fucking kidding me? Of course you gotta work 40 hours a week. You want to afford an apartment? You want to like have like a relationship with somebody? Like, how do you expect you're gonna survive? You know, you have to create some type of foundation for yourself. You know what I mean, man? Yeah. Like, you gotta start somewhere. If you're not gonna fucking start somewhere, guess what? You're falling right down. It is not gonna last.
Hell yeah. What baffles me is like I think people don't understand, like, whatever you do, you're gonna work fucking 40 hours a week. What I'm doing right now, building my news channel, I'm working fucking 40 hours a fucking week. It's corporation. Anything you do, you either work 40 hours a fucking week, or you just gonna be a bum. Hell, the bums might be out there better than you because at least they working panhandling. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get what you're saying. It's just kind of like the whole complaining of work, but it's just like, well, find something else to kind of do to consume that time with work, because you got to put in work out here. You got to produce.
The illusion, in a way, is the crisis, because just in the way that so many people part of the Black community, especially Americans, that have paved the way in the past 175 so years in this country. One pioneer, one inventor, one creator, one scientist, one maker, just so many fucking incredible people. What do you got to say about them?
I would say a little longer. It's been more like 400 years that we've been doing shit. A Black man invented that cotton gin, which made America the most economic beast. Even till this day, we're not number one, but we top 3. And that's the thing. It's like, we did that, and we still have motherfuckers tell us we ain't shit. We still have people telling us, oh, you ain't even built this country. You ain't done nothing. And it's like, bruh, if that cotton gin wasn't built, we'd be a third world country right now. I believe it. We wouldn't have been able to obtain the economic goddamn power or money
or
to
growth,
even become a powerhouse. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it, because what they were using was us Black Americans as human labor out there picking cotton, and they were noticing, oh, their labor force were dying off. Or the other flip side, what they don't like to show, our labor force is fighting back and whooping our ass and gaining their freedom. So, it took Black men invention, which is part of Black culture in my eyes, is inventing. Invented the cotton gin. There we go.
There you go. There again. There. It's being able to find recognition. It's to understand that if you want to start somewhere, you have to know the history. The biggest problem today is not asking the right questions. Okay. Asking the wrong questions and expecting the right answer.
Do you feel a lot of people are redundant with that? I hear that. 100%. I feel that people are redundant with the questions. They think it's going to be a different answer, but motherfucker, that is a clear definition of insanity. You ask the same thing over and over, and it's like, you'd be like, 2 + 2 = 4. You'd be like, motherfucker, I wanted you to say 6. You'd be like,
hey,
okay. Yeah,
fucking asshole.
Okay, let me ask you this though.
Sure.
Do you feel that people are afraid to ask the right questions because usually asking the right questions come with ridicule.
Like we started this podcast, again, it's fear.
Okay.
True hard fear. Because people don't want to say that, oh, the white oppressor, especially like today.
Yeah.
When you take, for example, Americans, for example, you take somebody that's Caribbean, right? You take
Yeah.
somebody that's Trinidadian. I'm going to use it as an example. And you take another type of American that's Scandinavian, that traces their lineage all the way back to Norway,
Mm-hmm.
and having their family having lineage from those Vikings, the very last Vikings, taking their family on boats and arriving through the lakes into the United States and building their communities there, to those Trinidadians that did very similar things, that started coming here and building those communities along other black community members, sorry. And knowing the history is not just knowing the history. It's understanding that the history has already happened. Why did that history happen? Like you said, it's understanding that they had an opportunity to make something out of this, controlling a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it.
Yeah.
Can't change it. What you can do is you can make it better for the next generation. That's what Malcolm X did.
Hell yeah. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, you know what I mean? Rosa Parks.
Aretha Franklin. Ooh.
Oh yeah. Who else? Some people.
Temptations.
I like your name of artist. who
Jimi
else?
Hendrix.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix. Who else?
Lenny Kravitz.
Dr. Carl Anderson. You know what I mean?
Nas.
Yeah. You feel me?
Yeah. LL Cool J.
You naming a lot of artists right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, these are artists I do listen to. I do. I'm like one of those. I love old school rap. I like, like I'll put on like some of those, like even like Wu-Tang Clan.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're on music right now and we're talking about a lot of racial things, how do you feel about how they're trying to stonewall Beyonce out of country music?
I've been alive long enough to see a few evolutions of Beyonce. I'm 25.
Okay.
So I've seen 4 evolutions of Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
I actually would love to see that. You know what I mean? Like, there have been really great country artists that are black.
Yeah.
But I I don't think that's what makes them necessarily the greatest artist. But what makes them really great, like especially like Beyonce, right, is the fact that not only is she black, but she's also like this singer, this performer, this like she's fucking Beyonce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want her to see her do country. Like, girl, get that fucking guitar. You know? I think it's redundant to have the person just, having anybody, like, especially if you're an artist, just doing the same shit over and over. No.
But the thing is, like, there's been some country music radio stations that refuse to play her country album or any of
What?
her songs. Yeah.
Why?
Shit, I don't know. Because they racist. Like, they trying to gatekeep country music, which was created by freaking black people anyway, which it confuses me.
Yeah, like bluegrass, specifically like bluegrass and jazz.
Mm-hmm.
I love like New Orleans jazz. Oh, like sometimes even like like Louis Armstrong.
Oh yeah, smooth.
Very smooth, like the clarinet, and you got the trumpet in there. Mm-hmm. You get the rhythm, the keys. Sometimes you get a drum. The truth is, a lot of like, especially even music, was made in the time, like even like for example, like the rhythm of jazz.
Yeah.
Was created in a time of impoverished. People just trying to find a way to make themselves happy with the little that they had, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
they only had a piano, so da 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 da. So that's how it was.
Yeah, it's good music too.
Oh,
Soulful.
it's very soulful.
Shit was soulful as hell.
It
Let me.
gets you. It gets to you too. You know, that's the thing about like old rhythm and blues. Like there
Mm-hmm.
are really great artists today that do that, especially within country, because you can.
Yeah.
But to say that like country is a white thing is so fucking stupid.
No, it is
It's
dumb.
not.
It's not a white thing at all.
Uh-uh.
Now they infiltrated it and kind of made some like kind of change the perspective on people what they think country music is. You know, where a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's white music," and it's like that's what you said. Got to know your history. You know your history. You be like, "Man, this ain't no fucking white music. We just got kind of tired of doing country, so we just went on to something else." That's what I feel like. We get. I'm surprised that we haven't got tired of hip hop yet or rap in a certain sense and
I don't.
created something new.
I don't like
And
modern rap. Like I very few artists, like very very few. I've even have some of them on my podcast, but
yeah.
it's like it's poetry, and
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's creating poetry against a beat. That's that's what rap is. That's what I've learned rap to be since a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me that it's not, you know, but like it's just so hard to listen to these days because it's just negative, it's controlling, it's demeaning, it's redundant, it's unclear, it's thought provoking, it's cruel, it's this process of like expecting people to live lives that are unreal. Like most people don't need a Rolls Royce, honey. Like most people have amazing boyfriends and girlfriends, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like you don't need to flaunt all this shit. Like, is this? I don't consider that poetry. Do you consider that poetry? Tell me honestly. I'm
I'll be
curious.
honest. It is poetry. This what I don't like. There's no fucking balance.
What do you
Why does
mean?
sec why does Sexy Red get promoted like a motherfucker, but Rhapsody, and you see how I use two female artists, and Rhapsody don't get promoted at fucking all. But she's actually talking about real stuff. So yes, they're both poetry, but it seems that one type of poetry gets promoted out there, which makes it most people are not seekers of music. You feel me? They just listen to what's thrown in their face for the most part, or what they hear in the club, or what they hear at a hookah spot, or if they at a kickback. That's how most people listen to music, get their music. That shit is being promoted in our face. Sexy Red, Sukiana's, all that horse crap.
Doja
But
Cat.
we
I like Doja
Doja
Cat.
Cat.
I fucking
Doja
love Doja
Cat,
Cat.
she look it. Doja Cat is her music actually is really good. She does some demonic stuff. I just don't like her like ideologies and shit, and how she was on 4chan and fucking letting them white men call her the N word and she was getting off on it. I was like,
You
dude,
gotta
this is
remember when you're dealing with artists, we're in a way fucking insane. We're weirdos, we're nuts, and there's a reason for it. But
yeah, but I ain't that nuts. The fuck, the hell?
no, I'm not that nuts.
No.
No. That's another level of insane in the membrane.
Yeah, that is yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mm-mm.
to answer your question, I do think they're both poetry. I just don't. I don't like. There's no balance, and I feel sometimes that's how it is in the community and how they portray us as Black Americans and Black people. There's no balance. You feel me? It's a lot of stuff getting promoted as rappers, artists, comedians, and shit like that, right? Sometimes podcasting and stuff. But we got some fly ass doctors. We got some fly ass lawyers. But the only way they get recognized is if they got some pizzazz. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, other races, they could be bland as a motherfucker, but they get promoted out there. Look at this great doctor. You feel me? Oh my God. Yeah, the black doctor. You ain't funny enough. We don't give a fuck. There's no balance. That's what I don't like. And that's what's happening with music in my eyes. It's like there isn't really balance to promote out more positive or just music that feels good to you and sounds good. So I do catch myself listening to a lot of old stuff. You feel me?
Yeah, like even when you take, and I genuinely feel this way, like take gangster rap.
Yeah.
What gangster rap is, and I literally, I've gotten to this point, like, this is what it is, and it's plain and simple. It's people that grew up in difficult communities
Mm-hmm.
that are telling you what it was like from their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Look at any fucking interview on YouTube, whatever the hell you look. Every single one of those artists will tell you that exactly thing. Oh, when I was younger, or something.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear it from the lyrics, because if you remember anything about like early like rap, even from like the 90s,
90s,
you can hear the words, right?
Yeah.
You know what they're saying. I just
Some of these rappers, I'll be understanding what they saying. No, I'm not gonna shit on all the new artists out there and stuff. There's some
no,
out
I'm
there that's
not. But
actually
I'm
really
just saying,
good.
like, there's something. It gets to you in a way where you're linked to it, and you're like, damn. Makes you
I'll say
start to
this.
think.
One artist that's pretty good, she kind of growing on me, and it's like she does get promoted in our face, but I think she kind of good. Glorilla. I like Glorilla. Is she talking about anything? Fuck no. But she got that certain cadence and soul and stuff like that where I'm like, okay, I can mess with it. You feel me? You know?
You got to find
But
those words that kind of like cross together, and kind of are smooth, and then they just work well. You got to learn how to play with the words. That's the way and how you make music.
Hell yeah. Let me ask you this though. Cause since we talking about hip hop and rap and stuff, 50th anniversary of hip hop just passed. And there's been it's been a big topic, especially in like the black community. And I want to ask you, who do you think created hip hop?
It's a hard question. I'm trying to remember the name of the group. I'm trying to remember. Okay, they were a disco group back in the late 70s. I'm trying to remember. Give me a sec.
All right. I'm gonna get some background music.
Yeah, so wow. So instead over here, it would go to DJ Cool Herc, DJ Disco Wiz, Grandmaster Flash, and Afrika Bambaataa.
So in the 70s.
Yeah, it's from I believe from the late 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
So
yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
So that first actual, from what I saw, somebody rapping. Now it wasn't traditional rapping on the beat like how we hear now. When I saw it, was in the 30s, and I think it was by it was like a blues artist, but he was rapping, and he was a Black American. And the thing is, there's been a lot of people saying that hip hop and rap and stuff was created by a bunch of other people. And it's like, no, we created it, but y'all contributed. And we fine with the being contributors, but we ain't fine with y'all saying, and at this point, people are saying that they created it, that we didn't even have any part of it.
Well, we do actually, funny enough, I was actually looking at this. As far as I remember from what I heard, Caribbean, specifically Caribbean black tribes, the ones that did survive, primarily you're dealing with like Haiti,
Haiti, the
um,
Haitians,
yeah,
Jamaicans.
Jamaica is, for example, another one. There are still ancient tribes and natives that are there, but there was type of a rhythm and style. Again, like we were talking about this before, kind of the creation of like bluegrass and jazz was kind of the lack of instruments. So,
Yeah.
kind of figuring out how to be able to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And voila, like that's its origin and that's where it comes from. The same way where people don't want to talk about like certain types of ways of singing that exist in pop, for example, that
Yeah.
come from Indian and Punjabi culture that dates back thousands of years. I had a voice coach. I was talking about this. I was like, "What? That's bananas." She's like, "Yeah, those are where some of these pitches come from." And I was
Damn.
like, so things have always been taken out of cultures before. But again, you're right. It's understanding is like, remember where it comes from and remember its origin.
Yes.
The thing as an artist you have to remember, you're never making something new. You're building on something that you're creating from yourself.
Yeah.
And what you're representing outwards from that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that you said the word culture, because it's like, this is part of our Black culture. And I just
Caribbean
feel
black
that,
culture, yes.
and I just feel that, I feel that they're trying to erase the shit. They're trying to get rid of it. Think about it. They're trying to they're really trying to erase like Black American history from the curriculum, from any aspect of us creating anything, inventing anything. It's getting to that point. Hell, Ron DeSantis, bro, out there trying to get rid of books and shit. Like, yeah.
I'm a
So
libertarian, so I think that tells you enough of how I feel about the governor of Florida.
I already know.
He stinks.
Yeah.
He stinks like his shoes that feel like they're gonna fucking fly right off.
Terrible. He's
Terrible.
great for news though. So he will always
Excellent.
give me content. I could always be like, all right, he's gonna do something, say something, give me some content. But him as a
No.
person, booty. You know? Yeah.
Something is really, it's really strange because when you think of like even like the Native Americans that have lived in this country, every single culture, minority, ethnicity that has ever been different in this country, period, has experienced annihilation to a certain level. Like, it's ridiculous for the fact that our version of education is just creating little soldiers. Instead of allowing people to choose what could possibly be their outcome and path, giving people a chance and a possibility, like, oh, I don't know, like House Ed, for example,
Yeah.
how to fucking mend a paycheck, and how to count and go places, and be a responsible adult.
Mm-hmm.
You think they fucking care about any of this shit? No, they don't.
Not at all.
No. Like, they have the money. They clearly do. I mean, they've been sending billions to Ukraine, and they've been sending billions over there and billions over there. I'm like, why don't you floss some billions over here? It looks like you got your cash flying out like nobody's business.
Yeah. The government is wild for that.
Oh,
And it's just
yeah.
like, it just makes me think that whole deficit shit that they be talking about, like, oh, American debt and blah, blah, blah shit. It's like, nah, but y'all just create money out of thin air when y'all want. So I don't want to hear
Mm-hmm.
none of that shit. I don't want to hear none of that. You know?
And it never gets any better, does it?
Mm-mm,
No.
not at all. Inflation going high. But see, I'm like two sides of the coins with inflation because I do own stocks. I then got really involved in understanding like stocks and real estate and really how money moves and stuff. And this inflation shit is bad on one hand because fucking bread is $5.50, but it's good on the other hand because my stocks is fucking going crazy. You see, is wild, and I just feel like there's it's always a dynamic like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's always it it sucks, but I mean it's kind of true. It's like motherfuckers build their fortune out of chaos a lot of times. It's just sometimes when it comes to certain people, they able to sweep that fucking chaos under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
A prime example, Purdue family. You know who they are?
Oh yeah, the ones that claim to be so kind to their little animals, but are so cruel.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're nasty motherfuckers. They're a terrible company. Have you heard of
yeah,
them?
yeah. Have you? But you know what they did though, right?
Besides stuffing a lot of chickens into tight little barns for days on end, yeah, there's a lot of problems.
So not only that, the Purdue family, they are the biggest drug dealers on the planet of Earth. They're the reason why the and we got kind of lucky in the black community and stuff, but they're the reason why Oxycontin is out there as of now. They are the ones that push this in the hospitals and stuff. And the reason why I said the black community and black people, we got lucky because doctors assumed that we could have a higher pain tolerance. So they wouldn't give us this shit, the oxys and stuff like that. And you see is what's happening going on right now. These motherfuckers is a lot of them getting strung out because they on the oxys, which then they got to switch over to the fentanyl. And it's wild
It's
that
wild.
like Purdue is that family and you see how you know them for the chicken stuff, but they really them dealers.
I mean,
And they just
what they've been doing to farmers also, especially like in the agricultural scene, people don't realize that corporate farming is a real problem in this country, where a lot of farms are owned by corporations. So using industrial fertilizers, industrial products like I hate saying this, but pretty much everything that we eat is poisonous.
I feel that.
Everything. Our meats, everything. Milks.
Every
Why?
fucking thing.
Is
Whew.
poisonous.
Is cause they be all the pesticides and shit, right?
Yeah, and all the chemicals that are added, and how it's filtered, and how it's monitored, in production, and how they have to make things also cheaper, and more
Yeah.
available. And you think of like Wonder Bread. It's not bread. That's why it's called Wonder.
I wonder where the fuck it came from. That's
Hey,
funny.
exactly.
I used to love that bread as a kid though.
I know. It
Oh
used to stick to like the top of your mouth.
yeah. Oh man. I don't buy that
Memories.
bread no more. Shit, I bought it. I bought the good bread. You feel me?
Yeah, that bread has like I think 68 to 70 something chemicals or something in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
If you look at like the back, it's just like the ingredients is like this long.
Yeah. Be all types of bullshit. You
You're like,
like
wait, but Mama, what's this? Wait, what? Ma, what's this? And you're like,
shit.
what? Starts with an
Be
M and ends with an I. Huh?
meta it's like metazane. You like, I ain't never heard no shit called metazane. You're like, God damn.
Damn. What was I gonna ask you? If there's one thing you would want to leave off on, what would it be?
like leave off on like from this planet or leave off from this
This
podcast or
podcast.
okay. Okay. One thing I want to leave off on, I want, you know, your audience to know that I am for the justice of all people, but I am specifically for the justice for my Black Americans and Black people. I'm here to empower us, to fight for us, because if we win, America wins in my eyes. And I do want to tell the other people that if they're going to cry about it and be pouting about it, because, you know, I get that a lot, y'all could shut the fuck up. And that's just how I feel. And that's what I want to leave off on. And that, like I said, I'm for everybody getting their justice, getting what is due to them. But I'm specifically fighting for me as a Black American man, Black Americans, and Black people. That doesn't mean I'm hating. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I'm on some hate shit or a hate group or none of that. But I'm here for my people. And I know that the two
You have
things
every
that
right to.
yeah. And the two things I know that my people are really, 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 really fighting for is one, cash reparations for us as Black Americans, and two, an anti-Black hate crime bill for my Black people in America. Because I know that not every person in America that is Black is a Black American. I get that. You feel me? And since we get targeted the most, I want us to have that fucking protection. And I combat white supremacy, okay, and anti-Blackness. And I'm doing it in my form, in my way, being a news anchor. And people want to say what they want, and I'm just like, I look at news, and every news that I see has some type of bias and some type of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
That is my bias and my propaganda. I'm for my Black Americans and my Black people. Clear cut. That's it. So, yeah.
Damn, man. Listen, you gotta be direct. You have every right to have your opinion, and you have every right to stand for what you want to stand for. At the end of the day, like, this country is gonna be the best version for what you stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's your goal. That's what drives you as a person.
Yeah.
That's what, not only do you, it's like, you can hide behind a curtain, close the doors, close the shades.
Mm-hmm.
You can hide under the bed. Is that really how you want to live your life? I don't think most people want to.
Like a fucking coward.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Question for you: where can people find your socials? I know you mentioned you're a news anchor. But I'm gonna let you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a news anchor on my own media company and stuff like that. If you want to find me on all the socials, I'm talking about from Twitter. And yes, I call it Twitter. Okay. X. No, it's Twitter. All right.
I feel you, man.
Yeah. You know, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all of it. TikTok, I keep it all simple. Y'all can find me, Kamal Johnson Network. For some of y'all that don't know how to spell Kamal, you might spell it with a C. I'm like, nah, that's Camel. Kamal is Kamal. Johnson Network. Also, I just figured out I'm Googleable. So if you want to ask the bro Google, bam, type in Google Kamal Johnson Network, and I'll pop right up.
Hey,
yo, I appreciate
easy
you.
peasy.
I don't even know your freaking name. You didn't even give me your name. All I know is Lost in the Groove podcast.
The name's Dave.
Dave. Okay, I appreciate you, bro. And you gave me some insight on some shit, bro. Like for real. That's what I mostly appreciate. Hell yeah, shit. You Jewish. Like I didn't. Only other Jewish person I done ever really talked to that. Well, they told me they was Jewish. I probably bumped in and talked to other Jewish people. They just didn't say it. but was my first fucking roommate in college. Shout out to you, Michael. Bruh does movies and shit. You feel me? And he out in
Woo!
LA doing his thing. He know who the hell I'm
Nice.
talking about. Michael Rosati. I used to call him Michael Roosevelt. But you know who the hell I'm talking about. He the only other Jewish person I ever talked to. And we didn't get this deep into conversation like that. So, you know what I mean? You did give me insight, bruh, for real.
My pleasure, my man. Well, listen, I really am also happy. And again, like, you never know what you're going to expect around the corner.
Yeah.
And again, you know where to find your socials. If you want to find the podcast, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Lost in the Groove Pod. So with that, I'm going to catch you on the next one. All right, my man. Been real. I'm going to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Peace out, y'all.
Yeah.